Hello guys. So I'm starting streaming. So today's topic is going to be Lisp machine keyboards. Now actually I don't know if I'm starting streaming or not uh because I think I am. Wait, actually I wasn't prepared. I don't know if I should have closed my windows and stuff. Sales keyboard, Razer keyboard. Now, Razer keyboard is the worst. Okay, don't ever buy Razer keyboard because today's it's all about marketing. Razer keyboard they market to gamers. It's all about marketing. Like today, you have these. Let's see, are there people watching? Okay, I'm actually not sure I'm live, so I might just quit and start over. But anyway, so I was talking about Razer keyboard. Yeah, Razer keyboard. It's all about marketing. Like today, you have, that headphone. Called B. It's very popular. The headphone. It's the mark. The symbol is just B. B stand for what? B. I forgot. But anyway, that is the worst headphone ever. With regards to the headphone quality divided by the price. So the ratio is the worst. But however, it's very successful. Beat, right? It's called Beat, the brand name, Beat headphone. And I see my friends wearing that, and I'm going, oh my god, it's very successful because of marketing. That's the thing about today's corporate world in America, especially. You make a product, it's almost like more than 50% of your resources is spent on marketing. So design and manufacture, that's important, but marketing is like more important. You spend like $1 million to market it. So and successful marketing is more important. That, for example, you have to, how the Beat headphones became successful. I read one time I read an article. This is like 5 years ago even. Because celebrities, Hollywood stars and musicians, you get them to wear Beat headphone, like you pay them, they probably paid them, so you pay them to wear the Beat headphone, and the teenagers, they saw that, that this. Hi guys, so one guy watching, say something here. Um, so the Beat headphone, celebrities, musicians, they have millions of followers, teenage girls and boys, and especially girls. Especially some of the celebrity, the singers, the teenage girls, they follow her like crazy. Teenage girls, and so they see you wear the Beat headphone, and they're gonna buy a Beat headphone too. They have no idea about headphone quality, the engineering stuff. Um, so okay, so what I got one guy watching. Is my video clear or not? You see the video, the YouTube streaming, as far as I know, is that such that, oh, I need to change the title. Talk show. Okay, say something, man. Say something, so I know you are here. So this is Talk show. Uh, on Lisp machine keyboard and other keyboard stuff. Okay, so I need to put that there. Do I save it? No. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about Lisp machine keyboard. That's today's main topic. Okay, I got one guy watching. Just one guy, and I guess I'll just start then, because anyway, the stream is going to be recorded. So people, I mean, it's like hybrid of streaming and video. So later on, people can watch it as a video. So I'm just going to start to talk about keyboard. Yeah, and by the way, so and also, so don't buy Razer keyboard. Don't ever buy Razer keyboard. Anything made by Razer. Apparently they came out with a new uh, model. This is optical Razer opto mechanical. You never know what they are saying. Actually, yeah, just don't buy Razer keyboard. If you want an optical keyboard, optical mechanical key switch, buy this one. There are two of them. Uh, you know, let's magnify. So one is made by this China brand called Bloody. I mean, it's called Bloody because gamers like it. Teen gamer, teen boys. Oh, and there's another one made by uh, okay, there's Bloody. Yeah, there's another one by Tesoro. I think Tesoro is also a China brand. So anyway, if you want mechanical keyboard, yeah, I mean optical switch, optical switch mechanism, buy this one of these. And by the way, optical mechanical switch is fantastic. It's because it you see this is how it works. It uses a laser or laser or any kind of optical to turn the key on and off. So it's more reliable and it's more dust proof and waterproof, and it lasts longer because there is no there's no metal contact. But it seems in the keyboard community the optical key switch did not pick up, didn't become very popular. However, from what I've read, have not seen any negative I have not seen any negative um, opinions about optical key switch. So anyway, so I'm going to talk about Lisp machine keyboards. So Lisp machine keyboard. Oh yeah, that's a big history. Lisp machines is the. I mean, if you are a programmer, let's see how many people watching. One guy watching. Nobody is coming up. Oh, because I suppose it's because it's a work hours. People are working. Okay, so well, that's too bad. So I'm just gonna to talk about. So these machines, if you are a programmer, and especially if you are Emacs user, you are probably a fan of these machines. It's one of the, it's a legend. So there are actually several Lisp machine keyboards. The most famous is this one. Let me uh, um, magnify the screen. So this is the most famous. Let's see, Space Cadet keyboard. What a name! By Symbolics. There are different versions. Let's see. So this is a clear picture. You see, they have Shift key, rub out. They have Control key, Meta key, Control, Meta, Super, Hyper, and Top, and the Greek. And there's caps lock. Um, so this machine keyboard is essentially how Emacs Emacs key binding became popular. So there are several Lisp machine keyboards, but to understand their history, you kind of have to know about Lisp machines a little bit. So I give a little summary about Lisp machines. And by the way, yesterday there's a guy who emailed me and gave me great information about. Let me magnify. He gave me great information about some history of Lisp machine keyboards, and that guy is Lars Brinkhoff. Lars Brinkhoff. So this is his website. Um, You can read about it. By the way, this is my website. So, it's xali.info keyboard. Um, you can just Google search Xali keyboard. You'll find my keyboard blog. So anyway, so let's go back to Lisp machine keyboards. So Lisp machine keyboards, they are used by Lisp machines, and Lisp machines are computer hardware that are designed to run Lisp, the language. By the way, Lisp, the language, stands for Lisp Processing. That's the original name. I mean, that's the acronym. That's what it stands for. Lisp processing. And the idea, it's invented in 1960 something, 1970, 1968 or something like that. The guy who invented is John McCarthy. Uh, and it was created to do math, basically. It's, well, not to do math, but to emulate how math is done, something like that. I mean, it's like math inspired. I mean, you can go to Wikipedia and read about Lisp or Lisp machines. You'll find, of course, you'll find much details. But anyway, so you have so people so there's a Lisp language. By the way, it's today is still used. It's used in Emacs Lisp, in Emacs, and it's also there's Common Lisp and Clojure and Scheme Lisp. Scheme Lisp, or there's a branch called Racket, Racket language. So, but mostly you just see it in Emacs. So in Emacs it's all Lisp code. Let me show you some. Maybe I'll show you my Lisp code. So let's go to wait. So it's that, and let's scroll up. You see, these are Lisp code. Let's scroll up. Okay, hold on. Let's see some big code. Okay, so these are just Lisp code. These are Emacs Lisp, but Clojure and Racket scheming, they look similar. Close this razer thing. I don't want to promote razer. Razer is the worst um, keyboard. Yeah, they do all sort of things. They market, they market to gamers, with pretty pictures. They spend huge amount money to resource to market to gamers, and they they raise the price, like for the same quality and same quality or technology of the keyboard, you can get it from other brand. That's much better. For example, if you want to buy from name brand, get it from Logitech or get it from Cooler Master. Those are good ones. Don't ever buy Razer. Also, Razer, the company, they deliberately remove, like they or in some models at least, they remove the keyboard memory, and they remove the firmware, software to program the keys. But they call it their keyboard, programmable. But actually, that requires you to have their driver running in the background, and or they require you to connect to their cloud, internet connection. So if you don't have their driver installed, or if you are not connected to internet, your keys doesn't work. Your custom programmed keys doesn't work. So that's Razer keyboard is very bad. So let's go back to Firefox. Oh yeah, so let's go back to talking about Lisp machines. So Lisp machines, um, so yeah, so there's a first of all there's a Lisp language. Then people created Lisp machines. That's designed the CPU, the entire machine is to design to run Lisp programs efficiently. So the first one is around 1974. It's called Cons machine. It's used at MIT. Then around 1978, there's Coder machine. Then 1981, there's Symbolics. Uh, Symbolics is a company name. It's a Lisp. It's a company that sells Lisp machines, and another company that sells Lisp machines is LMI. LMI stands for Lisp Machine Inc. And these two companies, they are pretty much enemies. They are competitors. There's a rich history behind them. It's a feud, They and Richard Stallman is also involved, in this feud. And by the way, Richard Stallman has written some very popular article about Lisp, the language and history. Don't trust his words. He's got, of course, he's the Free Software Foundation. Uh, the creator of Free Software Foundation, and his opinion is very biased. When you are someone, each of us have opinions are biased. So when you see things, how you see things is usually um, how you see things is usually from your perspective. Biased towards your benefits. Your ideas, even unintentionally. Some people lie, or politicians, for example, they lie, or they intentionally do bad things. But even if not intentionally, each person now usually see things that's towards his own view. So anyway, Richard Stallman has wrote article that's widely popular among open source or Emacs people. Everyone wants to link to it. Show, oh, this is the Lisp history, but actually don't. There's many things wrong in it. Don't trust his what he say 100%. But anyway, let me show you. Okay, so oh, hi guys, break the loop. Finally, I got two-person watching. So so let me answer the questions, but before that, before I forgot, let me show you some of the lists. Let's go to my Emacs blog. Let me show you some of the article that counters Richard Stallman's story. So Emacs miscellaneous. I just want to point it out, because it's important. You see, history is told by winners. There's a saying that history is told by winners, which is, logically true. I mean, if you know, your enemies are wiped out, they don't get a say, to what history is. So today, Richard Stallman, he's got, Free Software Foundation, and he's alive and he's telling his stories. But before the Lisp machines, the history of Lisp, there's Lisp Machine Inc. There's Symbolics, the companies, the people, they are founders. They don't get you know they don't get to say, because whatever they say is wiped out by Richard Stallman, because Richard Stallman is more famous for Emacs, for example. So but anyway, so let me just point out the articles. Let me find it. Actually, I don't even. Okay, so what's his name? Okay, actually, you'll find it by just search. Let's just search for Lisp, uh, common Lisp problems. Okay, that's how I remember where to find the information. Fundamental problems of Lisp. Okay, on Lisp. Then, okay, famous programmers on how Common Lisp sucks. I'm not a fan of Common Lisp. I think it sucks. It's one of the worst language. Okay, so this page, there are several famous Lisp. They are Lisp gods. They are part of the Lisp. The top Lisp experts. They are fundamental. They are pillars of Lisp. They created or wrote the spec of Lisp. Many of these guys. Steele Is you probably know his most famous. Richard P. Gabriel. He started a company that basically gave us XEmax today. So Richard Gabriel. Paul Graham, you probably know he's famous for Hacker News. The startup Y Combinator. Daniel Wainwright, that's a guy. Okay, that's a guy I wanted to talk about. So Daniel Weinreb, he's a founder of Symbolics. So he's one of the founder or one of the earliest programmer. I think he's the founder of Symbolics. Symbolics is one of the first list machine company that sells the list machines hardware. So he has written an article. So all these people, these are Lisp gods. They, they have wrote about, how common Lisp sucks. The thing about computer programming culture is that the programmers, most of them, like vast majority of them, like whatever you see, whatever you perceive in a particular programming language group, mostly it's bullshit. It's garbage. Okay, it's hard for like 10 years when the language is hot. But it's not true history, and it's nor is it true um, good advice when like idioms and like programming patterns, defensive programming, the period come and go, whatever people are fashionable about it. Then when you if you have different opinions, people attack you, like these hacker type of people. No, you are stupid, you are a troll, they attack you. Like programming patterns is like almost is crazily popular in 2000s, and today you don't hear it much. Patterns. And before that is OOP, object oriented programming. But anyway, so let's get back to the topic. So Daniel Wenrape, he died in yeah, here's the article. So uh, let's go look. This programmer Daniel Wainwright died. He died in 2012. It's kind of sad. So okay, so he is a guy I'm talking about, and he wrote a. Let's go back here. Let's go here. So he wrote a article that counters Richard Stallman's history of uh, of Lisp. Where do I find it? Uh, I don't know. I have many articles here. I don't remember where they are linked from. But let's just type Daniel Wainwright Lisp history. There it is. Daniel Wainwright rebuttal to Richard Stallman's story of Lisp history. So you know read it, if you are interested in Lisp history. Just read it in the sense that it provides a counterpoint, an alternative view to Richard Stallman's, perspective of Lisp history and Lisp machines. So let's get back to Lisp machines. So I'm talking about the Lisp programming, Lisp language, and Lisp machines. You need to know a little bit about them, their history, before you can understand Lisp machine keyboards. By the way, I'm not here to seriously give you a history, but it just I'm just talking over about the things I know. And Lisp keyboards, they are interesting, they are fascinating in many ways because um, did you know that where does the Windows key came from? Who invented it? Who invented, for example, the menu key? On Windows, on Microsoft keyboards, on the right side, you usually have a menu key or app key. Who invented that? Who invented the Windows keyboard? Obviously, okay, the answer to both of them is that Microsoft invented them, both of them, around 1994 or something. It was invented, the first keyboard that has such key is, let me show you, is the most famous Microsoft ergonomic keyboard. This one. So this is the first keyboard that has the window key and the menu key. These two keys debut, debuted on this keyboard. And this is around what year? 1994. But however, these two keys, I mean, the inspiration of the Windows key, came from the Mac's command key and option key. Okay, so where does Mac's idea of command key and option key came from? They came from this keyboard, 1970, the SAIL keyboard, SAIL. SAIL stand for Stanford AI Lab. Uh, yeah, so this keyboard is the mother of command key and option key, and therefore Windows key. you know, so it is from this keyboard that you begin to have this, command mod modifier, bunch of modifier keys. And what about control key and shift key? So before this keyboard, you do have control key and you do have shift key. Now shift key comes from typewriters, obviously. Typewriters, mechanical typewriters. In the early days, it's all mechanical, right? You have to push your bar and that shift the level. So when you press shift key, when you hold it down, it shifts the levels, under the key. Then you press another key, they strike different letters, capital letters. So that's why it's called shift. And then and control key, I'm not sure what's the history of the control key, but I imagine it's from uh, uh, teletype, or some kind of machines of that era. Yeah, I'm not sure what's the history of the control key. Okay, so let me go back and read comments. Let me Then we go back to the Lisp. Oh yeah, Maple. Okay, so break the loop. Ask about Maple versus Mathematica. Okay, that's uh, okay. I would recommend Mathematica for sure. Okay, so if you don't know, Mathematica is a uh, symbolic mathematics software. A software that does symbolic math and also for programming. They are called symbolic algebra systems. That's how people call them before. Uh, Computer algebra system. So they were called computer algebra systems. Now, so Mathematica is one of the most famous for doing that, and Maple is its competitor. Maple is from Canada, Toronto. Um, it began in a university, I think University of Toronto. But anyway, so it's a software you can buy to do symbolic computation. For example, if you want to do integration, derivatives, solve equations, solve linear system of linear equations, solve differential equations, or you know uh, of multiple variables, or solve matrices. And if you want to do them symbolically, not just numerically. So if you want to do that, that's what these software are for. Now, I don't actually have experience with Maple. I mean, I started Mathematica. I programmed in Mathematica for 10 years in 1990s. I don't actually have. I might try Maple for an hour or two or something. But basically, but in my opinion, go with Mathematica. Okay, I mean these two are competitors. You ask different people. Some people will tell you, they prefer Maple, but actually, I'll tell you for sure, go with Mathematica, because the reason is that Mathematica is, from the guy Stefan Wolfram. Stephen Wolfram is a certified genius. He won MacArthur Prize when he was like a teen or something. He got a PhD degree when he was maybe 16 or something, and he's a physicist. Back then. And he went on to create Mathematica, and he created his company, Wolfram Research. And today you probably know about, Wolfram Alpha, famous for. So anyway, so why do I mention him? But what I'm saying is that, so he's the guy, he's got the big ideas, and he's got a vision, so he created Mathematica, the language. He's intimately involved in very every design of Mathematica, the syntax, how it should be, the semantics. So so um so he created Mathematica, and today Mathematica has become so many other things. It's not just for math. It's not just for symbolic computation. I mean, in his words, it's for taking. In the 2000s, it become, Mathematica is for technical computation, and today it's for everything. I mean, literally, like you can just type. It's got AI engine. It's got, image processing like Photoshop. I mean, scientific image processing. It's got, you can ask it questions, and so it's got many things. But anyway, let me go back to my view back in the 1990s. So back in 1990s, Mathematica it's got basically my opinion back then. I pretty much still hold the opinion is that Mathematica is a the syntax, the semantic, it's got a programming language basis. So it's got a kind of consistent, opinionated, or you might say opinionated. It's got a point of view, on programming. So it's got a system. It's a system, um, that in the beginning it does mathematics, symbolic mathematics. Then it's things got added. It's graphics and other things. So, but Maple, well, okay, I don't know much history about Maple, but from my point of view back then, I of course when I want to buy Mathematica or Maple, this question also present to me, which one is better. I went with Mathematica, and I was very involved, because back then I was very much into math. But Maple more look like, it's just the software. Like think of it as an application that does symbolic math. Then, so the syntax is like I don't remember exactly. So I think it's kind of like C and kind of like MATLAB. So so Mathematica, on the other hand, the syntax is very particular, very different. In fact, okay, let me put it this way: the syntax of Mathematica, it's a programming language. Actually, it's better viewed as simply as a programming language, and that language is Lisp. So Mathematica, so this is how we tie it into our today's topic. So Mathematica is a Lisp in every aspect. It is a Lisp. Some people say it's a Lisp done right. Uh, but Maple is not Lisp at all. So it's just a programming language that. So anyway, that's my biased view. And I haven't heard about Maple much these days because Mathematica is by this guy Stephen Wolfram. So he's got a vision and company and everything, physics, cosmology, atomic, subatomic physics. He's that guy. Um, and he's successful. He's running a company, but Maple, I almost like you don't hear it much these days. So obviously it seems Mathematica is like just more successful. So anyway, that's Mathematica and Maple. Okay, I don't actually own any obscure or retro keyboards. Actually, yeah, yeah, I don't own, because I write about keyboard, I write, about keyboards, hundreds of pages, thousands of pictures. People get that impression I have collection of keyboards. Actually, I don't. I only have like maybe four keyboards, and they are all ergonomic, the expensive ergonomic keyboard. And basically, the company sent it to me, or I asked them to, so I can do review for them. And by the way, my review is not biased. you you can trust me on that, because you know my character. I don't get money to say good things about things, But anyway, so I only have like four keyboards, and they are all ergonomic modern keyboards. So there's Kinesis Advantage, there's truly ergonomic, there's ultimate hacking keyboard, um, and there's Expose keyboard. So that's I think that's what I have now. So let me answer the other question. Are there computer programmers whose opinions I highly respect? Yeah, there are. Are there like any names that comes to mind? Yes, definitely. I'll tell you. Well, Stefan Wolfram is one of them. Okay, he created Mathematica. Mathematica is written in C. I don't know today. I haven't, well, actually, well, yeah, yeah. Mathematica is written in C, and also written in C and Mathematica itself. So it's like most Lisp, it shares many traditions and conventions, and with Lisp. So Lisp languages, most of them are also written in C. The core, is written in C, while the others, are written in Lisp. By same thing with Emacs, Common Lisp, many implementations. Um, anyway, so well, okay, so what about other programmers I respect? There are quite a few, quite a few. So because I flame, I criticize about lots of famous programmers. People think, people think I'm just a troll. Actually, I said this many times. There are quite a few I respect highly. First of all, let me tell you some of the scumbags I despise. Okay, Larry Wall. He's the guy who created Perl. Okay, now he's a good person. Okay, so when I say scumbag, well, that's not true. That's just is dramatic. Okay, that's just hyperbolic. So Larry Wall, he created Perl. I don't think he's a trash. He doesn't know nothing about computer science or programming language design. And but also although he's not a bad guy as a person. As far with respect to morality, but he is kind of on borderline. He's because he's kind of like what you call a snake oil cell. Like he says programming like the most three important thing about programming is laziness. He spew out all these dramatic jargons, like but Pearl is dead today. So Larry Wall, I despise very much, and ESR Eric S Raymond, I think he's a very questionable guy, and he's not just okay, with respect to technology, he's into like Unix philosophy. He want to sell the idea of Unix philosophy. I mean, if and today that idea is kind of dead. Almost the young people don't know about. You don't hear it much. But back then, in the 1990s and 2000s, every programmer is like, "Oh, you should do it this way because Unix philosophy." That's completely bullshit. Okay. Um, so I have almost everything I talk about. I have a bunch of articles about it. So this Unix philosophy I discuss in detail. You can read about you can read about it. So there's one. There's another one. Then okay, Unix philosophy, and this and he over here. This is a very ancient article from Usenet, dated around I think it, as early as 1984. So if you read this, I mean, anyway, we are getting into a far. So anyway, I don't like. Okay, let me mention another guy, Martin something. He's a guy who is the father of extreme programming, kind of agile extreme programming, and something injection. And he's also inventor of um, UML. So let's look up by searching for UML, you'll find his name. He's a what a scum. With respect to technology, I don't know. I don't mean the moral character of the person. For now, let's not get into that. There are some programmers I think they are morally bad. They lie. They try to sell their stuff, get money, get ahead. There are quite a few, but let's not talk about those for now. ESR is kind of there. Eric S. Raymond. Eric S. Raymond is the founder, one of the founder of open source. It's an organization. He's also the founder who created the hacker logo. Have you remember the hacker logo? It's a game of life, like seven dots. He created that. He think hackers needs a logo, and a lot of young people just start to use that logo. He's kind of like a code personality. He likes to, he likes to create a code. Same way with Larry Wall. Both of these are also code characters. Now Larry Wall basically subsided because Perl kind of died away. Then ESR is kind of still around. However, today I kind of support ESR because today now the social justice warriors, they become extremely powerful. They rose up, and ESR is very much against it. So I'm in support of ESR. Politics is complicated. It's really complicated because you have these different politicians or leaders. You know, maybe on the whole, maybe this guy you like very much, but he doesn't have much power. But on the other hand, there are two other guys, let's say A and B, and you have to vote for one of them. So you know if you support your guy C, let's say, then you get wiped out because A and B is far more powerful. The C, basically have no role. So you kind of have to choose A and B. Like political affiliations. That's how political group forms. But it's very complex. So for example, the ESR guy. On one hand, I think he's a very questionable guy. He question morally questionable. Also, his opinions on technology, like Unix philosophy, is also questionable. But however, today the social justice warriors, they are extremely powerful, and they are doing extremely evil things. They censor people. They lie blatantly, and they are like in most mainstream organizations, media, blatantly lie, and raise. Let's not get into that. But so there's this social justice, GAN. So what you gonna do? So there's ESR, and he's opposing it. So so I support ESR in this case, because that's more important. And also Richard Stallman, Richard Stallman sells the idea, the ideology of free software, which I think has led to very great damage to society. But yes, but however, Richard Stallman is as a person, if you look at all things considered, I think he's a good person. He does not intentionally lie. He's not a uh, you know a devious guy. He just believes in this particular uh, philosophy, which is become an ideology like a monster. But however, he's not in all things considered, I think he's a good person. So he's also against the social justice. He he kind of is a pillar, kind of, so you can abide by him. You can form a group to fight greater evils. So that's a situation. So anyway, so let's talk about yeah. So okay, let me just get back to, and let's find the who is the guy who created Martin. Okay, what's the name? What's the jargon for software injection? Something injection. Uh, Martin, the Martin guy. So he created lots of jargons and stuff. Martin Fowler, yeah. What a scumbag that guy. Okay. Morally, as a person, I don't know much about that person. Actually, I do think he's a good guy. He's not a bad person. Okay, I haven't looked. Yeah, I think okay, he's a good person. But from technology, yeah, dependency injection. He likes to, all these kind of code guys. They like to create. They always like to create jargons, like questionable jargons. And also notice this is important, whatever they say, usually it's not mathematical. It's not like a mathematical theory. In computer science or computer programming, there are many things are mathematical theorems. You have lambda calculus, you have Y combinators. They are math. They are math theorems. So they are historically great. Absolute. There's a valid. It's valid. I mean, the theory may not be necessarily be useful, but it's a math theory. Okay, so many computer scientists, for example, the McCarthy. Okay, John McCarthy, for example, I like. Okay, I admire. Let's say I don't know much about John McCarthy, but I like his opinions about idea about lisp. Um, for example. But anyway, so these code kind of people, they like to create lots of jargons. UNIX philosophy is one of them. Like UNIX philosophy, what the fuck does that mean? Oh, it means small is beautiful. It means kiss, keep it simple, stupid. It means it's kind of a fuzzy things. If you look deeper, okay, what exactly you mean small is beautiful? So when small is too small, when is it too big? It cannot be defined. It's like they go fuzzy. So basically, it ends up like whatever they like applies, whatever they don't like it applies. It's like when you talk in the 1990s or 2000s, when Unix philosophy is still popular, you talk to Unix people, when you criticize, or Linux, when you criticize Unix, they say, "Oh, that's not Unix." Like tar is not Unix. Unix is the kernel. Okay, tar is not Unix. All the Unix, the shell bash. That's not Unix. Yeah, it's very bad. It's not. That's not Unix. But on the other hand, for example, when Apple created Mac OS X, they say this is Unix. This is the most solid, operating system. Then they all, oh yeah, let's, Mac is Unix. Unix is so great because you have the shell, you have the tar, you have the X11s. So it's a code. Basically, it is. The thing about code is that if you are in it, you don't think it's code. It's like religion. So code and religion are kind of similar. when you believe it, when you are a member of it, you defend it. You don't see it as a code. So anyway, the topic went afar. But okay, who else I like it or dislike? For example, quite a lot of people. So yeah, okay, we talked about Martin Fowler. So let who else I admire? Okay, this for example, the guy who created TypeScript. Let's see, what's his name? His name is Angie or something. Let's go to Wikipedia. Uh, TypeScript. So what's his name? He, if you guys knows, just type it. Yeah, Anders Hejlsberg. I cannot pronounce people's names. Anders. Yeah, so I think I admire him very much. Although I don't know much about him, I haven't studied much what he does, but I know he wrote, design and wrote TypeScript. As he's a leader. He's a big guy. In Microsoft, you have teams, under him. But he also created. Oh yeah, let's see. Wikipedia. He also created, he lead or created or wrote the team of compilers. But anyway, so he's a guy I greatly admire for his technical abilities, and also, someone like him, in contrast to the Martin Fowler guy or the Larry Wall Pearl guy or ESR, he's quiet. He doesn't pop up and say, "Oh, programmers, you should be lazy." "Oh, let's do dependency injection. I inject my ass." He doesn't do that. So when he's just he create compilers. He whatever is sound. He doesn't create code. Jargons. Unix philosophy. That's kind of bullshit. So these people create jargons, codes. It's create a problem because every time you say something, then there's hundreds of people. They'll tell you, "Oh, you should do this way because Unix philosophy." Oh, in this case, just do a dependency injection. It's crap. I mean, including from your friends. That's the problem of code. You're talking about something and your friend, someone you know or respect, they'll pop up and they'll tell you about, oh, programmers should be lazy, or you should do injection or something like that. That's a problem. And there also other people I would admire. For example, for example, Guy Steele. Guy Steele. I have Guy Steele is who one of the guy who created Emacs in the beginning before Richard Stallman, kind of, or they together created Emacs. Guy Steele. Let's see, where is his articles? Let's see, famous programmers. Yeah, and he also wrote an article. He gave a talk about don't iterate, recurse, and get rid of cons. Cons is one of the major problem. I call a fundamental problem of Lisp. And in Lisp community, especially the common Lispers, we argue. I argue with them all day, day and night. They think I'm stupid. They call me a troll, but nah, So you can read Richard Guy Steele. He says, okay, Guy Steele I respect. Okay, I haven't studied Guy Steele much, but I know he's also he's also a inventor of Scheme, the language in the beginning, and I watched a few videos, one or two videos by him. It's very smart and quick. He's old now, but he's still very quick, and so I admire him as well. I admire him. One thing I find problem is like questionable, I mean silly, is that Guy Steele is on the Java design team. back in like in the 1990s and 2000. He's one of the guy in the Java design team. So to me, it's like why the hell why do you join that? I mean, I just cannot stand it. He's like part of the Java team, but this it's not a problem because when you are famous, people invite you to be on the chair of some committee or something, uh, and he may or may not have contributed to Java. I mean, even suppose he contributed to Java. I mean, well, you have to. I mean, well, Java is just a different language. I mean, there are many forces in programming. It's not just like you one single guy design a language and everything is up to me. Well, yeah, you can do that, but when some other language started by Java, some microsystems, you can't just go there and change everything. So anyway, so this guy Steele I respect. This I mean quite a few I have to for example, there's also a famous computer scientist uh, whose first name is Diskdra, something like that. Can E he's known as EDM, I think. Can someone type it? He's where is it? Uh, oh yeah, let me go to my YouTube. So, oh wow, I've been talking so much now. It's like 56 minutes, and I haven't even began to talk about Lisp keyboards. But that's good. We can do more. Yeah, it's W Disktra. His name. I never heard people pronounce his name, but he is one of the often quoted guy in the Lisp community because he's dramatic. He's also a troll. The word troll has changed over the past 3 decades. But anyway, he's kind of like uh, dramatic, or shall we say argumentative, or he like he sometimes attack other computer scientists just purely by his opinion. He say so. So this guy at EWD, I admire him as well. I so he has created many theorems in computer science. I don't actually know the details, but that's life, because there are thousands of theorems, and nobody knows. I mean, even a computer scientist, you only know like very little, if you look at the whole thing. But anyway, so EWD, some of his opinions I disagree. For example, he's one of the guy who said that index of arrays should start at 0. So so the EWD guy, he has wrote a bunch of notes. He's famous. There's a website that collects all his notes. They are like numbered EWD something 1, 2, 3, 7. And one of the I've read several of them. So, but one of them, he talks about why array index should start at 0. I disagree at all. I mean, I don't find it convincing, and I think index should start at 1. And again, I have an article. Well, let me just push my articles. Language design, should array index start at 0 or 1? Okay, so you can read that. And here is his article, EWD 831. He argues that it should start at 0. I disagree, and I think his argument does not make sense. It's flawed. So anyway, so they are. So I've mentioned a few people I admire. There's quite a lot more. Um, I have to think about not okay. So in Lisp community, there are several, and there's also um, people outside of Lisp community. For example, uh, okay, the Python guy Guido, I don't like much. I think his opinions on his opinions on programming is like subpar. It's like these are famous people, right? I mean, when you create a language and it becomes popular, when does a language become popular? It's not really because the technical quality of language. Much of it actually have to do with social reasons, marketing and social causes, many causes. And when a language become popular, of course, you become popular. It's like celebrities in Hollywood, So Michael Jackson, he's very popular. Well, he's very popular because actually he really sing great songs. I mean, he's really great guy. But anyway, in many cases, how popular are you not necessarily because you have done, how good you are. But anyway, programming language designers usually become popular. But if you look at computer science or mathematics, those who actually contributed the most important hard to know theorems, uh, often they are not popular. And among computer programmers, they are usually unknown. So what am I saying? So anyway, so yeah, so there are a lot of computer scientists. You don't know. So so I admire these people. What about Donald Knuth? Donald Knuth. Actually, I never I've read some of his books. I read a lot of his stuff in 1990s. Actually, I don't like his opinions and ideas in general. Um, I don't like his writing style. I don't like his jokes. His jokes never funny. I don't like his opinions in general. Uh, his opinions on writing style, or I don't like his stuff. I don't like his creations in general. I don't like the so-called literate programming. I think it's just academic idiocy, literate programming. All these things you got a code following, like in Emacs org mod, you want to do literate programming. And when Perl is popular, there's a ton of people, Perl people, they want to, literate programming in Perl, uh, you know, and Knuth also created Tech, the language for typesetting mathematics, and I think that's also the most idiotic creation in computer history. Yeah? In fact, it does a lot of damage to to the math community, to what could have been. Oh, okay. Let me show you another article. Okay, so here's the article I wrote about why I think tech sucks. You can read about it, yeah, if you want. So, shall we go back? Let's go back to yeah. Let me go back to talk to Emac Lisp keyboard for a bit then, because you know that's the original plan to talk about Lisp keyboards. So I wanna yeah, okay. So let me just maybe 5 minutes we'll finish. Um, so there are these Lisp machines, and the first one is Cell keyboard, SAIL. That stand for Stanford AI Lab. And Stanford AI Lab is created by John McCarthy, the guy who created Lisp language. And so this keyboard is one of the most earliest in 1970s and before. And actually at that time there's no Lisp machines yet. Lisp machine doesn't exist until 1974 or something like that. But anyway, so this keyboard is the granddaddy of like Lisp machine keyboards and major influence to other keyboards. It's so then comes the Knight keyboard. Knight keyboard around 1974. Uh, it's inspired by the cell keyboard, because you can see the color scheme is similar and many keys are similar. Knight keyboard is invented by this guy called, his name is Knight, Tom Knight. What a name, like knight in shiny armors. Uh, and he is actually one of the great computer scientists. As I learned more about him on Wikipedia and elsewhere, and because he wrote the original kernel for the ITS operating system that ran on PDP-6 and PDP-10. I have no idea how ITS works, or PDP-6 or PDP-10. The thing about history is that you actually have to live. You have to live in the period to actually know. I didn't start industrial programming in Unix. I started in 1998. Industrial programming on Unix. But even if you read a lot history, you can get some sense, but it's different from when you actually lived there. Like today, today's generation, they don't know what's going on in 1990s. They don't know Perl. They don't know how at one time Perl is the most popular language and supposed to be the end, the last scripting language, and Java, Perl and Java. Today's programmer, they have no idea. If you are millennial, if you were born in 90s, you have no idea. Like, you don't know. But I know. I can, you have to like live through the period, then you have the experience. If you just read history, it doesn't work. First of all, because history is only, like just you just have one book or two books, like very few pieces. It's different from everyday experience, what you hear on TV, on magazine ads, everything. Okay, so anyway, so this is Knight keyboard, and so this Knight guy designed a lot of things. He also designed MIT Lisp machine processor. So he's a computer scientist, one of the great. So Knight keyboard. Then you have the Space Cadet keyboard. Keyboard basically then became the Space Cadet keyboard. Now there are like several varieties of Space Cadet keyboard. Cadet keyboard is one of them. Um, uh, and then there's also and this there are several, as far as I know, I've seen three varieties. I mean, meaning that they are in different boxes. They are made. Uh, they have different company names. Printed on it, but the keys and the design and the layout are the same. You got the thumb keys, you got the Roman 1 2 3 4 keys, you got control meta super hyper. That, of course, you got the top key, you got the Greek key. Um, here's another one from LMI. LMI is Lisp Machines Inc., which is the enemy of symbolics. Yeah, they are enemy because of their political differences. LMI, Richard Stallman supported LMI, which is kind of more of the free software philosophy. Richard Stallman supported LMI, but basically LMI failed. Because fundamentally, just because communism doesn't work well. That's it. Period. Um, so symbolic kind of successful until the AI winter came, and I think symbolic is actually still alive. I mean, as a company, I mean, although it's not active, but the company is still technically still there, I think. Okay, then after Space Cadet is the most famous. Then after, you got several other Lisp keyboards. Okay, I think let's see if there's any questions about Thanks for the questions. Are there more questions? Type it. Uh, so what would you change the term dependency injection? Dependency injection. Okay, this will make me sound stupid, but I don't really actually know exactly what it does. Okay, but I can tell you I'm pretty confident. I don't have to know. You can think I'm silly. I'm just doesn't make sense or my argument is invalid. That's okay. But I can just tell you that doesn't make sense, and it should be if there's a proper term, just um, I haven't looked into details. I've read a little bit sometimes, but I don't remember the details. So I don't know what should be the proper term. But you could first. Here's a situation: when you create a computer language jargon or maybe math jargon or in any other science jargon in chemistry, in physics, first of all, the purpose of jargon is that to facilitate communication. And also, usually it must have a definite meaning. I mean, we don't necessarily want it to have a like formal mathematical definition, but in general, it it always have a for a good jargon, for validity of a jargon, it always have a definition that among practitioners, scientists in that field makes sense. We constantly need to use it. Now, jargons like that's a good jargon. Jargons like dependency injection, that's kind of like code jargon. Okay, I can tell you, it's kind of like code jargon. It's like of many programming, many activities in programming, you can like give anything a jargon and you can like sell the jargon. You can tell people start to use it, like defensive programming patterns. For example, we have patterns, right? Remember patterns, like, and then later on we have anti-patterns. They. But the thing is, why do you actually need the jargon defensive programming? Do you need it? I mean, what the fuck does it mean? Defensive programming, or patterns. Let's say a specific example. Do we have a specific examples about patterns like factory pattern? Okay, you don't need it actually. You don't need it. Like in patterns, in patterns code, you have factory patterns, then you have other patterns. You know. You have quite a lot. It's kind of like it's just a code. You don't need to get jargons, basically. Okay, and also when you create a jargon, there's also the quality of a jargon. So what does that mean? A good quality of a jargon is that when you say it, when you name something, even people don't outside the field, they see the name, they immediately understand it without explanation. I mean, like you can do this statistically. Like you throw the jargon to a bunch of people, and let's see how many people get it right. If majority of people get it right as compared to another jargon, then the that jargon is a good one. So that's one of the aspect to judge how good is a jargon. You want it to be communicative. On the other hand, these kind of jargons created by these code head leaders are not usually opaque. They are typically opaque. Like when you say something, it has no meaning to any programmer until you explain to them. That's anyway. That's the kind of thing. So that's what I say about the dependency injection. These jargons created by these people, like UNIX philosophy, KISS, dependency injection, or laziness is a virtue of programmer, things like that. They also have another element that is dramatic. Like when you throw this jargon out, it to programmers they are dramatic. They catch the eye, and then people want to know what is it. So these kind of jargons, the code, they have that quality. Okay, that's what I say. Uh, okay, let me read the questions and we'll be done. So, do you have any opinion on John Carmack? John Carmack, yeah, he invented Craig. No, I don't know much about him. Yeah, I don't know much about him. From what I heard, when he was he's a self-made man. Okay, so I think he grew up poor or something, and at one time he stole. When he was a teen or something, he break into he stole something like something bad, and but he's self-taught. So I think he's a great. Yeah, I don't know much about him, but I guess I think he's great, and also he's very capable. Of course, obviously, of course, far more than me. All these people are doing, they are far more than me. Um, and he also opened a company. That's a great takes great skill. I mean, opening a company, running a company is a different skill than the typical nerd, or engineer skill. So, uh, Denise Ritchie, Ken Thompson, I don't care about them. Chuck Moore. Chuck Moore is the creator of Fourth. I don't know. But Denise Ritchie and Ken Thompson, I know they created a C, but to me, C is the worst. It's the worst fuck in programming languages. It's worst. It's the father of all things that's wrong in programming industry. Okay, in my point of view. Okay, I know I'm a little bit biased and it's a bit hyperbolic. Okay, but that's kind of my stance. Okay, I think C and Unix are the worst. They are everything wrong in the computing industry. Okay, I don't like it. C and C plus plus and C plus plus. The thing about C is that it's complete pure garbage. Okay, then that the famous worse is better. Richard Gabriel. Okay, one of the Lisp guy, Lucid. He created XEmax, Lucid Inc. Richard R. Gabriel. Okay, he wrote a piece. Uh, Worse is better. Very famous among Lisp programmers. Worse is better. You can look up. It's on Wikipedia too. So in worse better. So in that story, so C is the one of the example of worse is better. So it's like a virus. You create a virus, then people make it popular, make it fast. That's important. Make it fast, run fast, just forget everything else. Forget about correctness, forget about extensibility, forget about good design. Just create some garbage, but make it, make sure it runs very fast and very simple. Simple in the sense of simpleton, like, idiotic simple, not in the sense of well designed and make it extremely simple like scheme. Okay, simple in the sense it's idiotic. Make just elements, simple elements. So simple, run fast, you know um, then you spread it. You spread it. That's C and Unix. Okay, then you get people used to it, then people want to improve it, then you get other things like then you have C++. It's a pile of garbage on another pile. Then you have Java. Then you have JavaScript. It's so that's how virus works, from the philosophy of worse is better. Okay, that. So the worst of is better. It captures the social, it's you can say it's a philosophical point of view. It captures the social aspect of software. I mean, still it's a point of view. I mean, you can believe it or you can leave it. It's up to you. But it's a point of view that says, there's a social aspect where, instead of focus, the success of a technology, is not necessarily how good it is. Of course, obviously it's never, just based on technical merit, but it's based on many social factors. And the point of view of worse is better is that it focuses on particular um, kind of social point of view, such that you make a product, just try to focus on the aspect that sells it, like get people addicted, kind of like underhand tactics, kind of like that. I mean, that's of course many gaming, Microsoft, they all practice that. It's Apple, even Apple, you can say. Okay, I think 1 hour and 20 minutes. That's a lot of talk, but but I've been going like on a roll, on a roll. I'm just talking. Uh, Guido van Rossum. Yeah, I don't like that guy. Uh, I mean, well, I think he's a good person, but I think his opinions on programming language is not good. Is not good. Guido van Rossum, his opinion about programming. He First of all, okay, he's very anti-functional programming. Like, in a sense, it's almost like if you are Haskell programmer, for example, or if you are Lisp programmer. So Guido van Rossum, he's like anti. Like, you can say like he doesn't understand functional programming. He don't know what the fuck it is. But however, I mean, you know he has his opinions. Of course, everyone has different opinions. So his opinion, in his opinion, basically he thinks, all your functional programming, merits what you think is good. He don't think it's good. He don't. so so his language Python is just, not good if you are into functional programming. uh yeah, so thank you guys. That's a lot of talk. I enjoyed it. Thanks for coming. And hi, Jack. So thank you guys for coming. Let other people know about my videos. I want to spread it. I don't like to, tell people to thumb up and stuff. But you know, so if you like it, maybe comment, and say something, and let people know. Thanks. Talk to you guys later. Oh, I think I should have I kind of, maybe I should go, have a fixed schedule, a regular stream. But I'm always not too sure about that, because every time I have a fixed schedule, like a plan, like a master plan, then I tend to fail, because if there's a master plan, then I feel like I'm on stage, like I'm responsible, like, oh, today's topic is on, the quality of this or something, like I have to perform, so usually I do better when, it's just spontaneous, like I can just rant whatever. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.